Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to NS9LIVE. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we have Jim. We got Tyler. What's up, everyone?
What's going on? Happy NFL draft night.
Are we all tuned into the draft as well while doing this, or is it just me?
I am not. This is one.
on.
I follow the NFL. Big football fan, big Steelers fan. But this is one night, really this whole week that they make it at this event. I have zero interest in it whatsoever.
I love it.
I just do not care. Like, pick the guys, and then you know what? Then I'll start following them. I don't care about any of the build up to this or the actual event in itself. So
I love it.
Yeah. Some people love it. Like, I would never, like, people go to the NFL.
No,
draft.
that's crazy.
There's no, like, you couldn't pay me $100 to go to the NFL.
No, you're just
draft.
standing the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, at least
you
on
couldn't.
TV, I can walk away and do stuff.
I don't think you could pay me $100 to watch the entirety of the NFL draft. I wouldn't do it. I'd be like, this is a waste of my time.
Fair enough.
So,
yeah, I guess I'll say this. I'm kind of surprised you said that, Jim. No, me myself, I've fallen less of like a football fan. Just I guess just in general, right? But yeah, I'm kind of shocked you. I don't know. Like I feel like again, like me 10 years ago, I'd be all over this. Even less than 10 years ago, but definitely 10 years ago, I'll be all over this. I'm tuned out. I'm watching this. It's kind of like one of the cool things. Like my birthday's on the 28th, and most often this falls like right on my birthday or around it. So I always remember like my birthday, like watching the draft, having people over, being excited about it, but not so much anymore. But again, that's just more or less because I haven't really paid that much attention to football anymore like I used to. So yeah, interesting.
yeah, I just don't care.
We're baseball.
I feel like I would go to the draft though. I'm not like opposed to that. I wouldn't like go out of my way and fly, but I would go. It's probably a fun time.
But I get the people who think it. Like, I understand. Like, if you're just like a diehard football fan, I get it. I consider myself a diehard football fan, but I can't get into it. It's just too much stuff, right? Like, I can only occupy myself with so many things, and the NFL draft is not one of them.
That is fair. It is smack dab in the middle of baseball season, which we have a lot to talk about here today, boys.
Yeah, so let's get to it. How about our 13-13 Pittsburgh Pirates?
Well, let's put it this way. Let's start off being rational about it. They're 13-13, right? They're a 500 team right now. They're still like in the thick of things. I guess if you want to look negative in that sense, everyone outside the Cardinals are playing pretty good. I mean, the Reds are up there. The Cubs are up there. The Brewers, obviously, Pirates just played and split the series with. They're in first place right now. So, like, the NL Central is doing pretty well. But, like, the Pirates are a 500 team right now. You know, like, think about that. It's a 500 team. There's really not much to complain about holistically in that sense. But we have things to complain about.
Yeah, I think Jim talked about it last night on the post-game show that if you would have told him at that point, what were they, 13-12 or 13? If you had told us that that was their record at this point in the season, probably be thrilled with it. The way that it's happened, I feel like, has been a little bit frustrating. And maybe that's where our complaints are going to come from. Just the way it has occurred, the process of it hasn't been as aesthetically pleasing as I think we would hope to, or at least looking towards the future, we haven't seen those glimmers of hope that this is what is going to push us forward here.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it last night. I mean, the way they got to that, the way they got to 11-11, right? And they started 9-2, and then they went 2-9, right? So, and then they split this series, this 4-game series. So we're now at the 13-13. Yeah, it's just kind of a frustrating way to get to it, right? You start off super hot. You like the way you're looking, and then all of a sudden wheels come off. Offense can't hit. Starting pitching is doing a hell of a job up to this point. I'll give them a ton of credit there. Each and every person really in that rotation is performing. I mean, you could even say Keller may be the one guy who isn't. Like, if you want to get real nitpicky, like Mitch Keller could be better. But so far through 26 games, can't ask for much more from your starting rotation. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, actually, the starting rotation has been pleasantly surprising. Put it that way, it's been a hell of a lot better than I ever anticipated. And like, if you told me Mitch Keller have over a 5 ERA at this point, to Tyler's point, like before season to the 13-13, like if you told me Mitch Keller had over a 5 ERA, I would be thinking doom and gloom. Because if he's not doing it, no one else in this rotation is. But ironically enough, it's everyone else is doing it. And Mitch Keller, he doesn't look sharp. I'm not writing him off. I'm not saying he looks terrible. There's certainly things that can be better, and he does have to be better than what he's doing right now. But yeah, this rotation's been good. It's really just the offense. This offense has been Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. That when they were 9-2, this offense was really, really good. It was actually really good. They're hitting well in 2 strike counts. They're hitting well with guys on base. And then switch just went away, disappeared. Adios.
Yeah, I mean, eventually we talk about it a lot, but eventually the league's going to punch back. They're going to make adjustments to what you're doing, and we've seen the league kind of do that. And the Pirates haven't been able to make an adjustment back and change anything in their philosophies. Also, they're not hitting home runs. Like, plain and simple, that's really the big thing.
Yeah, I mean, the first person we're going to talk about tonight is Henry Davis, right? And, you know, if you take Henry Davis's numbers right now, and all you do is add 2 homers to it, then all of a sudden it's like, you know, it's a slow start, but at least he doesn't look terrible, right? But now we're sitting here on April 25th. Henry Davis has 74 plate appearances, 0 home runs. He's striking out 31% of the time. He's walking at a decent clip, 12.2 walk rate. The OBP is 108 points higher than the batting average. But I mean, I guess if we're going to go into this Henry Davis conversation, you've got Joey Bart, who you just acquired for nothing from the Giants, basically. He's performing like your best hitter on the team right now. He's tied for the team lead in home runs. Like, that's where we're sitting at right now. Joey Bart tied for the team lead in home runs. He's only played 7 games. So Joey Bart's played 7 games, tied for the team lead in homers. You got to play Joey Bart. Like, you can't, like, he's earned his playing time. Yasmani Grandal is pretty close to coming back, right? Where do you fit him into this team? Because it's a major league deal. You can't option him. Like, once his rehab's done, it's time to go. And you know, he's had now 5 games in AAA. He's hitting the ball well. 294, 368, 529. Peripherals all look good down there, so he looks pretty comfortable. Has the time come for Yasmani Grandal to be activated from the IL? And is Henry Davis the guy on the chopping block? Does Henry Davis go back to Indianapolis to just see if he can get right? I think that's the big question right now, is like, what is this the time to move Henry Davis down to AAA?
Yes. Next topic. It has to be. You're talking about Grandal coming up, like he has to be here. That just makes the decision easier, because it's not going to be Joey. Like, you're not DFA'ing Joey Bart to keep Henry here at this point in time. Not the way Joey Bart's playing. Which, by the way, can I also say something just to make your point even, like, just to emphasize it a little bit further? Not only is Joey Bart only played in 7 games and he's tied for the team lead in home runs, he was DFA'd by another team. Another team said, Joey Bart, you're not worth our time. Get out of here. And he's now tied for the lead on the Pirates in home runs in just 7 games after being worthless trash to another organization, as Jim might have called him if he was a Giants fan.
I was all aboard the Joey Bart acquisition. There was
worthless trash.
The person
now
in
tied.
Yeah, there was one person here who was not aboard that acquisition.
There was only one.
And their name does not start with a J or a T.
Nope, it doesn't.
Well, everyone only knows me as, never mind. Yeah, I'm owning that one. But at any rate, that's how bad it is. And also put some perspective here. O'Neal Cruz has a higher batting average than Henry Davis has slugging.
And O'Neal Cruz has been bad.
That's right. That's what I'm alluding to. O'Neal Cruz is never going to hit and have a batting title in his name. So O'Neal Cruz has a higher batting average than Henry Davis has a slugging percentage. It's not going well for Henry Davis. Now, what I'll give him credit for is the defense has been better than I think all of us would have anticipated. I mean, after spring, when we've seen like there's not that many worries about it, whatever. I'm talking about before spring. Like his defense, it's not what's holding him back, it's the offense. And the offense is just non-existent. He just looks really, really, really bad.
Yeah, if you would have told me before the year that on April 25th we would be talking about Henry Davis being sent to AAA, I would have asked if you were out of your mind, because I would want to see how this shakes out. The only way that I would be on board with sending him to AAA is if it was just an absolute disaster. It's been an absolute disaster. He's been really, really bad. Now, I'm not giving up on Henry Davis by any means. I don't think any of us are. But at this point, he just, honestly, it sounds simple, but it seems like he just needs a reset. And you guys got to see what happens there. I know he doesn't really have much to learn by mashing AAA because he probably will go down there and kill the baseball. But yeah, at least just take a break. We threw a lot on you this year. A lot got put on your plate, and then all of a sudden the starting catcher went down and you're having to carry the load every single day. A lot of things happened that he had to take on. Let's give him a break here. Give him about a month, and then let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think reset is a good word. Because going into this year, he had played 2 innings in the major leagues at catcher, right? You thrust him into this job now where you're our everyday catcher. And there's, you know what, stuff's going to happen. Jason Delay is going to be on this team as your backup, but he's going to be hurt, right? So all these off days that we're going to hopefully give to you, you know, we're actually going to make you play through it a couple times. And then, you know, when we do bring in another catcher to take Jason Delay's place, he's going to get hit in the head with a baseball during a bullpen session. So, you know, your other off days that we were going to get you, oh, wait, yeah, you don't get those now. So Henry Davis was dealt kind of a rough set of cards, you know, rough hand of cards this year. But I mean, he's just laboring through this. He's trying to grind away, and it's just not working out. I think he needs to go to AAA. He needs to just be like, all right, I'm a catcher, right? Because the last year, he's just been bouncing around, right? He's been catching twice a week. He's been in right field twice a week. He's been DHing once a week. Just go to AAA and catch 4 to 5 times a week, right? Just go down there, catch 4 to 5 times a week. Don't do anything else. Hit some AAA pitching, crush some baseballs. Just kind of like, just get in a good frame of mind, really. You know, focus on the catching, and then just mash against some AAA pitching for a little bit. Now get in a groove. See the ball well. I like what you said there, Tyler. Like, by no means am I giving up on Henry Davis. I'm not even anywhere near that. But yeah, he needs a reset. And the best place for a reset right now is AAA. And luckily, the Pirates have some other options here where like they don't have to rely on Henry Davis at the major league level. Joey Bart's playing great. Yasmani Grandal isn't anything special, you know, at this current stage of his career. But he's certainly capable of playing major league catcher a few times a week if you need him to do it. So I think that's where I'm at right now. Like, I wouldn't bring Henry Davis to California this weekend. I would say, Henry, go to Indy. You can even take a couple days off. Like, you don't even have to report to Omaha, right, for the weekend. Like, go straight to Indy, meet him next week, start playing on Tuesday, and then just have Grandal meet the team in California. That's what I would do. Not sure if we're going to see any sort of roster move, but Yeah, I'm to the point where you just can't keep putting him out there, especially with Grandal and AAA looking like he's ready to go.
Yeah, and I mean, normally I'm the type of person that wants to see you work through your struggles. I want to see it against the best competition. Normally, with Henry Davis in a situation like this, I'd want him to continue to work it out at the major league level because he has shown that there's not much he really needs to work on at AAA. The results are going to be really good. He knows how to hit that type of pitching. We're just at the point where there's not another option, I don't think. Like, he looks like he needs to have fun playing baseball again.
That's kind of where I'm at with that too. I think what Jim said, I want to elaborate even further. Like, there's a lot on his plate this year, but there was a lot on his plate last year also. Like, and again, that's kind of been the problem. There's been a lot they've been throwing at Henry Davis to develop Henry Davis, and it's unfortunate for him. And I'm not also using this to make excuses in a sense. Like, he has to get better, but he has been at a disadvantage, in that sense. So maybe like just taking the pressure off. And I feel, again, I don't know him that much, but do you get that vibe? Like, he puts a lot of pressure on himself too. Like, he doesn't want to fail. There's a lot of pressure he's putting on himself to make sure he doesn't. He doesn't want to fail. Like, I get that, but maybe just get in the AAA and saying, like, listen, just take a step back, breathe, just breathe. Here you go. You're under pressure. just get your swag back. Well, he don't have any swag. Just get whatever that is back. Right. Get Henry Davis back to being Henry Davis. I know you want it. You want it more than anybody here. Take a breath. Step away. Go do you. Get yourself right. You're going to be back here. We know you will. Just go do what you need to do to get that person back. We'll see you up here whenever that is. The fact that Joey Bart is playing as well as he is right now, it is so small sample. Like, I don't know how well it's going to hold up, right? Like, he's not going to have 1,100 OPS by the end of the year, but he's playing well enough that you don't feel uncomfortable saying, damn it, Joey Bart's going to get a lot of play time. You're kind of looking forward to it at this point in time. And with Grandal coming up, he is a veteran. Rob made a good point too. I've said this, we haven't seen it play out yet, but I also wonder how much is actually left in the tank with Grandal. I don't want to write him off yet either. Part of me just feels like this whole White Sox organization just sucked everything out of him, and he just sucked because of that. So it's like with him being in the Pirates organization now, maybe there's more there to it. Small sample in Indy, but he has looked good in Indy. What if he does have a little bit left in the tank? And we're going to talk about this other player up soon, Rowdy Tellez, but hey, Grandal can play first. Maybe that's a way, like maybe Grandal gets in the lineup a little bit more than just like 1 or 2 times a week. That would be a pleasant surprise because I feel confident even at Grandal's worst, he's probably better at first than what Tellez is providing right now. So it's like you said, it's a situation where it's not the end of the world. Luckily for the Pirates, because of Joey Bart, the way he's playing, and Grandal coming up right now.
If I can just say one more thing on that, just to lay out the Henry Davis career here, like he's a first overall pick. He gets hurt again, hurt again, barely gets any minor league at bats. All of a sudden, he gets called up with like no at bats in AAA. All of a sudden, he's in right field, doesn't catch it all, which has been his primary position. Struggles the entire year, both offensively and defensively. Goes into the next year, your expected starting catcher gets hurt. Now, all of a sudden, the guy that the team just didn't seem like they had any interest in him catching, he's got to learn how to catch all over again over the winter. Then your starting catcher that you just signed, who was probably going to start most of the games, gets hurt. And we're just throwing him behind the plate.
And your backup's hurt now too. So like, yeah, it's all on you.
Like he's had no favors done to him, and it's not an excuse for him. You got to work through it, and eventually you have to hit the baseball. Like it all comes down to if he was hitting the baseball, he'd still be here. We wouldn't be having this discussion. But he has had the adversity that he has faced in just this like 1 year, it'd be tough for almost anybody to deal with.
So go to Indy, figure it out. Also, let's talk about this aspect of it as well. I mean, it's something we've definitely talked and hit on it for multiple times. Like, it's okay for people to struggle. Henry Davis has been a guy who's never struggled ever in his life. Like, I can guarantee you that he's never played baseball and has struggled. He's always been probably one of the better people on that field. He's never had to struggle, and now he is. And sometimes, as Tyler said, they'll work through it. I mean, he's now had 329 plate appearances, 81 games in the majors. Like, I get the working through it, but sometimes it's just like you see what you have to work on. You faced all this, like you see your opportunities. Go work on that in AAA to find success, then come back. So, again, like I think a lot of people, and this is why you can't call up prospects too early. You have to like be ultra safe. They have to come in, hit their stride right away. They can't struggle. And to me, it's like, no, like some people have to struggle to get better. And for people that are just so much better than the talent around there, like Ono Cruz, right? We talk about like him in AAA to the majors. Like when you're that much better than everyone else, you're not going to struggle. You're not going to find what your weaknesses are because no one's been able to expose that weakness. They're not talented enough to do so. And again, like with Henry Davis, maybe that's what he just needs. Like he's finally found his match. Now he has to, for the first time, overcome it.
Jim agrees with everything we're saying.
He's so quiet.
No, I mean, I already said
He's
my piece
secretly
on
watching
it.
the draft.
I already said my piece on it. I think we all are kind of in agreement here that none of us are giving up on Henry Davis as a baseball player. We're not here to label him as a bust by any means, but he needs to get better. And right now, probably the best place for him to do that is AAA.
We're all on the same page here.
So
what's our next topic?
Let's do we want to go up or do we want to stay actually even go lower?
Let's go up. Let's talk about something fun.
So let's talk about something really, really good. Almost elite.
Almost elite.
One of the best pitchers in the game. And no, it's not Jared Jones. Let's talk about Bailey Falter.
I thought we said fun.
Bailey Falter is him, right, guys? No, for real. Let's take a step back. We have trashed. All of you have. And everyone listening, you have too. So don't try to go, oh, you fools, you fools. If you're listening, you hated this person as well. Bailey Falter had no business being in this rotation. Probably no business on this team. Is Bailey Falter a DFA candidate? And after that first inning in Miami, he has just made everyone look like fools. He has one of the best fastballs in baseball. He is just getting it done. And I still don't know really how. I'm still hanging on to your comp a few starts ago, Tyler, like Jeff Locke. Like this is like the best version of Jeff Locke you've seen. I'm still kind of there. I don't really know, but like, is this going to last? Okay, and like not this level, but like, is Bailey Falter a rotation piece like for the year?
So just to read off this, so this is what we're going to talk about, right? This fastball of Bailey Falter's, right? This 91 to 92 mile an hour fastball from Bailey Falter. So StatCast, if you're not familiar with it, it takes every single pitch thrown by every single player in baseball and assigns a value to it, right? Currently, Bailey Falter's four-seam fastball is the third tied. It's tied for the third most valuable pitch in the major leagues. Listen to these names too that he's with. Like this, we're talking about Bailey Falter here, right? Bailey Falter's four-seam fastball. It's slightly below Corbin Burns' cutter, just ever so slightly below. We're talking about Cy Young Award-winning Corbin Burns, his best pitch. Basically the only pitch he throws, right? Corbin Burns just spams cutters all day. All right. Shoto Imanaga for the Cubs, rookie from Japan, right? Had a 0 ERA basically through his first 4 major league starts. his four-seam fastball slightly better than Bailey Falter's, right? And then you get to the group of pitchers here that Bailey Falter's four-seam fastball is on par with. It is equally the third best pitch in all of baseball. It is tied with Pablo Lopez's four-seam fastball.
Who is a dude?
Right? I may have been wrong on that one. But then it's also tied with Tyler Glasnow's four-seam fastball. And we can all argue Tyler Glasnow's durability factor, right? Like the dude can't stay healthy, he can't pitch a full season, he can't throw 150, 200 innings. But when Tyler Glasnow's on a pitching mound, he is electric, right? Absolutely electric. Tyler Glasnow's fastball, Pablo Lopez's fastball, Bailey Falter's fastball, all equal value, right? Just absolutely incredible. It's pretty crazy what he's doing right now, especially because we all saw him last year. Like he would put together some good outings, but then he would get shelled, right? Spring training, he just got absolutely destroyed every time out there. There wasn't even like a glimmer of hope at any point during this spring. Every time he was out there, he was getting rocked. And he wasn't even starting games. He was going in like the 4th, 5th, 6th inning after the teams had put in their like AA backup players who don't even have names on their jerseys. Like the half of the batters he's facing are like 97, right? And he's just getting shelled. All of a sudden, regular season starts, first inning, 5 hits, 5 runs in the first 5 batters. Like he's just looking dreadful. You're like, can we DFA Bailey Falter in the 2nd inning so we can bring up somebody else, right? That's where we were all at. Since that point, he's been like I want to say it's a 1.67 earned run average since that point. It's been one of the best pitchers in baseball. In this fastball, hitters can't hit it. It's 92, like right down the gut. Hitters can't hit it. And it's been incredibly effective. He threw a ton of them his last start, generated his four-seam fastball last start, generated the same amount of swings and misses as Jared Jones's four-seam fastball did his last start. So like we're just falling over ourselves talking about how good this Jared Jones fastball is. Well, Bailey Falter's is better. That's what's just incredible right now. So it's a pretty cool bright spot. It's a win for this system, right? In this organization. Like we always talk about, like they need to come up with a guy who just like comes out of nowhere, right? And again, it's April 25th. But right now, Bailey Falter, hey, none of us wanted him on this team. So this is a win for the organization. You got to give them some credit for just kind of believing in the guy and that he would do this. Yeah, he's been incredible.
I just want to throw in 2 more numbers on top of what you said. He throws the four seam 57% of the time. So like it's a lot, right? He's throwing this the majority of the time. The batting average against it, 0.69. He's throwing you the fastball and they can't hit it.
86 slugging percentage off of Bailey Falter's fastball. 0.86. Can't hit it. People can't hit it.
Tyler, why can't they hit it?
I don't know. Like I've tried to look into this to figure out Bailey Falter. At one point I thought, okay, after one of his starts, he threw a lot of strikes. He got ahead of a lot of hitters. Is that maybe the secret to it? Dug into it a little bit. Nope. He's throwing like 8% fewer first pitch strikes this year. He's like 56% this year. Okay. Is he just getting more whiffs? Nope. Not really. It doesn't. Is his pitch mix different? Not really. Like nothing's different. He's just getting out somehow, and I don't see how. I'm glad it's working. He's obviously not this good. Because like even if you throw out that first start, his FIP's like 3.41, something like still really good. ERA's 1.57, somewhere around there, throwing out that first start. I don't get it. I don't know what the secret is here to Bailey Falter, and I'm waiting on the other shoe to drop with him. But I say that while also on the side of my head, I'm thinking he might actually just be a competent pitcher now. Because even if that other shoe drops, the way he's pitched at this point, if he falls back down to earth a little bit, if we're talking about like a 4 ERA pitcher, that's an absolute win. A 4 to a 4.25, which I think is actually where he ends up settling in this year. Like, he's going to have some bad outings. You don't throw 91, 92 and not get shelled every now and then, especially with just the, I guess, kind of lack of command I think I see out of him. It's not like he's J. Happ in 2015 that's just locating the pitch wherever the catcher's setting up. He's still a little bit erratic. He's still walking guys. It's going to come back to earth, I think, at some point. But if he can settle into that maybe 4 to 4.25 ERA pitcher, that's a very useful piece. And yeah, I wanted him gone. I didn't want to see him in a Pirates uniform.
Yeah. I don't. I'm kind of perplexed too. But is it just like? It's funny because what I'm hearing you say right now, Tyler. Didn't we hear you say this last year? On a reliever, more or less King Barucki.
Yeah.
Like is Bailey Falter the starting version of Barucki, more or less? Like, is he just saying, I'm just gonna throw strikes and just pitch and get you out? Like, I'm a lefty, doesn't have a lot of like, but he has like, but again, like he has a good fastball. Like, I'm not gonna say like he doesn't have good stuff. Like, he actually has a good fastball.
It shouldn't be.
Perplexed on how, but
it's
yeah. So like
fastball.
the answer, like, is false success smoke and mirrors, or will it continue to have success? And at this point, I don't have the answer to that. I don't know. I'm very intrigued and encouraged in like what we've seen, but like at one point, does it just stop happening because it shouldn't be happening to begin with? Like, right? Or should it be happening? And there's just stuff like you said, the secret sauce. I mean, the Pirates know it, and here you go, and we just don't understand it yet.
It's that extension, man.
Right. The extension.
I
mean, truthfully, that's probably a good bit of it.
That's gotta be it, right? I mean,
but the extension's been there. So Philadelphia was like, we don't care for him either.
But you also look like in 2022, he was an effective pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. Like he started 16 games for a team that went to the World Series. Had a 3.86 earned run average. So like he's shown at times that he can actually be effective at the major league level. I think the Pirates last year, maybe we just didn't get a good glimpse of it. Maybe we were still trying to figure out like, hey, what's the best way to use this guy? But like right now, people are comparing him to Jeff Locke. I'll say this: there's been a little bit of a difference here from that 2022 season to now. The four-seam fastball usage has gone up. Like they've recognized that's it. That's what we need to throw. He's throwing way less sinkers than he had been. Right. He's almost scrapped the sinker. He throws it, about 10% of the time. But yeah, I mean, when you're throwing 92 and you've got the extension that he has, it looks like it's 95. And so when you're throwing 95 from the left side and you're locating it, it's hard to hit it. I think that's pretty much where it is, just plain and simple. He's throwing the pitches that work for him, and the extension is real. Like we all kind of made snide remarks about it because it was like the one thing that he had, but it's a real thing and it's clearly making his fastball more effective.
I just want to say something to that. Like, we all understand extension is
yeah, we know what it is.
Right. We're not poo-pooing on the fact of like extension matters and that's a thing. It's just like you're saying, right? Like the only thing you kept hearing about Bailey Falter was his extension. Well, great, but he's still a terrible pitcher. Who cares about the extension? Like it's still 90-mile-an-hour fastball. But what I'll say to that though too, and maybe just because it's early, I don't know, but there has been also a tick up on the fastball velocity. There's a little bit, but there has been a little bit of an uptick on the fastball. So just maybe the combination of all of that. I don't know.
I don't know, man. When he's one of those cases, like I think the problem with Bailey Falter is that when you watch him on TV, there's no reason this guy should be any good. Because like watching him pitch, there's nothing impressive about it. It's one of those where you dig into the numbers a little bit. That's where I think the extension, and you look at what you mentioned about the fastball being up there. That stuff's impressive. But when I'm just sitting on the couch watching him pitch, I'm like, this guy stinks. Why can't you hit him? And they don't.
And like it doesn't look deceptive by any means either, right? It's not like it's just
It's not like Solometo or Solomito, whatever we want to, however we pronounce his name. I forget all the time, but there's no, like you said, there's no deception. It's just he's a lefty that apparently stretches out far.
He's Stretch Armstrong.
I'll say this. I'm just looking at and I'm just trying to find something here, right?
We're trying to figure out why he's good.
It's a small sample size, but again, he's throwing the 4-seam fastball more than he ever has, 57% of the time this year. And here, you know what? Let me do this. For the people who are watching, this is going to make sense. If you're listening to the podcast, I'm sorry. But
head over to YouTube.
If you look at the 4-seam fastball here, like it's pretty concentrated. He's hitting his spot with it. It's the top of the zone. That's where you want to throw a 4-seam fastball, right? So that's where it was. That's where it's at right now. If we go to 2023 and we go to that 4-seam fastball, it's creeping down lower in that zone, which makes it a little bit easier to hit, right? If you're staying up in this area, if you see my cursor, if you're staying up in that top third of the plate, that 91 to 92 mile an hour fastball that looks 95 to 96 is going to cause problems. But when you start getting it down into this territory, that's going to be a problem for you as a pitcher. So just quickly looking at his StatCast page, that's like the one thing I'm seeing is the fastball. He is locating it really well within the zone this year, as opposed to what we saw last year. So like this right here, this is the kind of heat map you want to see with your fastball.
Right. When we look at that, that does make sense because when a team is going to face Bailey Falter, it's going to be obvious. Obviously, they're going to set their lineup with righties. When you're able to locate it up and in the zone like that, or even up middle, that's going to mitigate some of the issues he's going to see with righties because that, I guess, heat map from last year, when you're middle and down against a righty, they're going to crush you. Also, you see the slider usage. Is that his second most used pitch this year or third?
Oh, my bad.
What happened here? Slider's his second most used pitch. And
so last year, curveball a lot as well. So slider uptick as well.
Last year, his curveball was his number 2 pitch. Right.
And it's a similar location of what he threw it last year, down and into a righty. But slider a little bit sharper, a little bit harder. It is going to help you be able to get righties out. Can he continue it? I don't know.
This has been.
Well, maybe that's the answer. Like that's what he has to continue. Like he has to make sure.
I'm
going to share something too, then Jim, because with you saying that kind of makes a lot of sense as well, and bring this up. Like a lot of guys, like he's having people pop up very often these days too. Like they're not driving the ball. So with you saying the location of the fastball, it kind of makes sense, right? He's thrown up high. I mean, they're not getting a good contact with it. They're not driving it like they were last year, where he was giving up 2 home runs per 9, basically, right? You see like league average popping up 7% of the time. He got basically twice as much, right? Where they're not driving the ball at all. So Maybe that's
Yeah,
the
you
answer. Like
look at
this is
that.
the answer.
You look at that. Line drives are way down. Line
Mhm.
drives are down 9%. Pop ups are up, and fly balls are up. So as long as those fly balls aren't up and hard, then you're in good shape. Like fly balls are out for the most part, unless you're giving up nukes. But
Yeah, the ball's not as juiced as it was.
yeah, it's
So
early.
the fastball's effective, and he's throwing it up in the zone. They're not getting a good bat to it, and they're just popping up. He's turning all the hitters into Rowdy Tellez.
That's exactly what he's doing.
That's basically what's happening here.
And for the people that I guess might not be watching but might be listening, or maybe just don't understand, Jim, you also know this. Jump on MLB The Show and just face a bunch of up and in fastballs and try to hit them.
Yeah,
that will make you understand this a little bit more, I think. I'm not joking either. Like an up and in fastball, it is incredibly hard to hit.
Unless you're camping on it. Like unless you're just camping. Yeah.
And when you're able to throw that slider down and in as well, like and tunnel that, it can work for you. And it's worked for him so far. Well, we workshop
So
that.
then we kind of workshop this out. Now let's go back and answer that question. Like, is this smoke and mirrors, or is there something more to Bailey Falter?
I don't think he's a sub 2 ERA pitcher.
Thanks, Jim.
But I think he's shown over the course. I mean, you look at his entire career now, 225 innings, 4.59 ERA. Like the dude's a major league pitcher, right? He's just frustrating at times, I guess, when he's not on, when he's not hitting his spots, when the fastball doesn't have that zip on it. It can get hit a long ways. But so far, he's locating it. There's going to be a start where he's not locating it. And when he doesn't locate it and he gives up a 3-run homer and then he gives up a 2-run homer, it's not going to look good. Right. But as long as he's locating that fastball, he can have success at this level.
I think it comes down to with Bailey Falter, there's very little margin for error. It's not Jared Jones or Paul Skeens, obviously. They can miss their spots. Bailey Falter cannot. So like Jim said there, when he's not on, it's going to get ugly. So until he shows to me he's very consistent with that location over a longer period of time, not really going to super believe in him, but to this point, what he's doing is working. And looking at all that, I do think that part of it's sustainable if he continues to locate like that.
Yeah, I like this. That's kind of where I'm at now. Just like seeing this, it feels as if like he can locate his stuff. Now, how well he can consistently do that is another story. We'll find out. But I think a good point. Jared Jones, his fastball was not effective. What was it, the second start, I think, against the Phillies? He went very slider heavy afterwards. Like Jared Jones, to your point, like he's not Jared Jones or Skeens. Like Jones can get away because his slider is also electric. Like he has really good secondary stuff. Bailey Falter doesn't. Like he's ride or die on his fastball. His secondary stuff isn't that good. So if he has starts where he's not feeling his fastball, yeah, it's probably going to get pretty ugly. So I guess the answer really just is if he can maintain being consistent in locating his fastball, I think we see the answer here is he can find success. No, we're not saying sub 2, but again, like Tyler said, if he's a 4 ERA pitcher, you'll take that all day long for Bailey Falter. And again, perspective, he would have led the team last year in ERA. That's better than what Mitch Keller had last year. That's better than Oviedo had last year. This is Bailey Falter. So if Bailey Falter, your number 5 starter, who ultimately is going to be viewed as like the number 6 starter when Skeens comes up, as long as Marco is healthy. This rotation's good. This isn't just like there's a whole lot of problems with this rotation anymore. It's like Jared Jones looks pretty damn good. Martin Perez looks pretty good. Skeens is going to be here soon. I anticipate he's going to be pretty damn good, fellas. And if Bailey Falter's your number 5, like Mitch Keller, Bailey Falter's your number 5 at that point in time, and he's like a 4 ERA guy doing what he's doing, he's going to give you innings. you can't ask too much from this rotation from what
I think the emergence of Jared Jones being who he is has completely turned around the possibilities of this part of the starting rotation. I think we all kind of like were hoping, Skeens would be up mid-season, but I don't think any of us were expecting this from Jared Jones. Like I think most of us were probably expecting back end starter type results from Jared Jones kind of right off the bat. And instead we're getting, like Spencer Strider, Jacob DeGrom type results from Jared Jones. And you're like, oh, okay, well, this changes things a little bit, right? And then also Martin Perez has been a pleasant addition. He looks very capable of being that mid rotation guy who can just eat up innings and give you chances to win every night. So you add those two where I think, like I said, I think we all did. I think we completely underestimated like maybe the upside of Martin Perez. And then Jared Jones is just pitching on a level that no one anticipated. Mitch Keller is actually pitching a little bit worse than we probably hoped he would, but he's a major league starting pitcher. Bailey Falter looks like a major league pitcher. And so like your only question marks really are, Marco Gonzalez because of the health. And then, Quinn Priester hasn't looked great, in his one start. But once Skeens is up here, this is just like a good 1 through 5, like a good 1 through 5 and a good 1 through 6 if you want to kind of go all the way down the line and look and talk about depth a little bit.
100%. We were at the
Absolutely
point where
not what we expected, right?
no. But yes, like Jones has been the X factor, but like let's not discredit also the emergence of Bailey Falter because number 4 and number 5 is probably going to be one of Quinn Priester, Rowan Z, Luis Ortiz, Jared Jones. Jared Jones looks like an ace right now. And Bailey Falter is doing this as like your number 5. There is no Quinn Priester, Rowan Z, and Luis Ortiz. Like those are complete afterthoughts. They don't have to be in this rotation and get better. Of course, it's disappointing that they're not, but you needed at least one and hoping 2 of those to solidify a spot. And they've been leaped by Jared Jones and Bailey Falter, and not just by default because they're actually pitching well. I don't know, man. This rotation, it's April. Like I get it. I don't want to get too up on this, but it looks pretty good. And Skeen's not.
There's a lot more upside, I think, like than we originally thought, right? Like we had hoped Marco would look, I guess, competent. Perez, I don't know that we leaned either way with him. We just thought he'd be a major league pitcher. I don't think we expected the results we've gotten to this point from him. But the Jared Jones, just development. It's a difference maker, plain and simple. Like a guy like that, those are guys you need to win playoff series. That's not someone you counted on. That's someone you have to, like, playoff teams have to go out and acquire guys like that. Jared Jones just happened to be hanging out in the minor league organization.
Just happened.
There's a lot of things that we can complain about and be negative on, but having potentially a Paul Skeens and a Jared Jones just based on 1 month of Major League Baseball from Jared Jones and 40 innings of Paul Skeens in the minors, if just basing everything off of that, you have those 2 guys to start a playoff series. That's a good start. You've got the hard part figured out.
Remember how we talked about the only way the Pirates can get an ace? Likely, because maybe draft them. We're still unsure if they can develop them. It was like, what if they just went the model of every year they just, they keep acquiring prospects and have this prospect capital keep coming through, right? They do a good job of that. And they just keep trading for a rental every year. Well, Tyler, like you said, they might have 2. They could go OD and trade for another one and have 3. Like this could be like the vintage if they won it. Okay, no, I'm stopping myself. I'm not putting this out there. I'm not going aces in the Berg style yet. What I was alluding to is like they could still do that method here. Like they could trade Switter piece and get some rental, and now you have like 3 legit dudes potentially that are all shut down. That like you talk about potential. Again, this is still potential, but like this potential now exists where you never thought it did. A year ago, you just never saw anything like this happening right now.
Yeah. Like I said, you have the hard part figured out. Now you just got to figure the rest of it out.
That sounds like harder part too.
Yeah.
Is it time to move on to the more disappointing stuff? Yeah. So now that we had some fun, let's get down to the meat and potatoes. This team sucks right now. And as we clearly know, it's not because of starting pitching. It's because of the offense. This team is just awful because the other part does it, right? The starting pitching does their job. They give you, hey, all you need is 3 or 4 runs to win the game. And the Pirates are like, oh, we can't do that. We need complete game shutouts to get into extras. And then hopefully we can do it with a guy on second. This offense is bad. When we talk about Henry Davis, guys, Rowdy, Tellez, it's really, really bad. I'm trying not to jump the gun here too. Like it's bad everywhere else. Also, you can't just point at Rowdy Tellez and say you're the problem. But guys, Rowdy Tellez is just really, really bad everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, another 0 for performance today. He at least did get a walk, but the weighted runs created plus at 48 on the season. He is a 225 slugging percentage. The OPS now smack dab at 500. He's batting 183. He has 1 extra base hit in 80 tries. You signed this guy for one reason and one reason only, and it's for power. Like hit the ball far, hit ball far, hit ball hard. That's it. That's literally it. Like those are your 2 jobs. And he's not doing either of those 2 things. And so when Rowdy Tellez is not hitting the ball far and he's not hitting the ball hard, the rest of his game is pretty terrible, right? Like he's an awful defensive first baseman. He's an awful base runner. He really provides 0 value to a baseball team and actually provides negative value to a baseball team other than hitting ball hard and hitting ball far. So when he's not doing those 2 things, he's awful. And right now he's awful. Like he's flat out terrible. There was an opportunity earlier today. Tyler's cracking.
I'm sorry, you're talking about like he's a damn caveman. Hit ball hard, hit ball far. There was an
opportunity. There was an opportunity earlier today where he could have like easily gotten a guy out at third base, like who was stuck in between second and third, and he just didn't throw the ball right, which then led to a run. There was he caught a ball. He pulled a Josh Van Meter too, where he caught a ball and was just not standing on first base earlier. Like you have one job as a first baseman, and it's to catch the ball with your foot on the base, right? Like that's your job, right? And
catch ball, throw ball back pitcher.
Yeah. So hit ball hard, hit ball far, catch ball, foot on base. So like, okay, let's add those things. And he's done none of those. So I guess my question for you guys, like, what's the leash like on Rowdy Tellez? Like, I mean, right now, this can't sustain. I don't even think he's this bad. Like, I was not in favor of this signing. I did not think Rowdy Tellez was going to have a good season. I think he's a bad baseball player, and he's been a bad baseball player for a while. But he shouldn't be this bad, right? So I guess my question is, how long does he have to really turn this around to at least try to become closer to mediocre than where he is now? Because like I think Giancarlo says in the comments here, what are the options at first base? There really aren't any. That's the other
That's
problem. They kind of put all their chips in the Rowdy, Tellez, Connor, Joe platoon. And the Connor Joe part is going well, but the Rowdy Tellez part, which gets the bulk of the playing time, is terrible.
Yeah, the Rowdy Tellez part's just not hitting ball hard, hitting ball far.
Or catching ball.
Or catch ball, step on
foot on
base.
back.
But if I can get my composure back here, I'm with Jim about not liking the signing at all. My leash was the second day he was signed. I would have cut him then because he's not good. He hasn't been good. He had 1 year where he hit a lot of home runs, and he was fun in Milwaukee because they liked him because he was the fat guy that hit balls far. Can't play defense. He's actually been a little bit better defensively than I expected out of him, especially after spring because he was terrible. But he's still not good. Can't play defense, not hitting the baseball. I think I had hoped for maybe like a league average type of deal at the plate with some home runs where it wasn't pretty, but he at least put the ball over the wall. Not getting that. I can do without him tomorrow. I think you can find a Rowdy Tellez anywhere. He's not good. And truthfully, I know you guys won't like this idea, but I am all aboard just calling Jake Lamb up at this point. I know he hasn't been good in a while, but he's not striking out in AAA. His seasons are actually it's been a while, but they're better than Rowdy Tellez's seasons. I think he's going to be better defensively at first base. I think he went through some injury struggles. I'm not saying he's going to be good, but at this point, I truly believe Jake Lamb's a better option than Rowdy Tellez, and I know that's a very low bar. But I even think at Rowdy Tellez's best of what he will give you this year, Jake Lamb might be better. And if he's not, who cares? Find another one.
Well, that's a problem.
It's not that hard to find.
They haven't found another one in 30 years. So how are they just going to find one today?
They're out there. They just don't look hard enough.
This is a tough question to answer because the leash shouldn't be long. It's not as if you paid a whole lot of money and this has to work, right? You're not cutting your losses yet because you've invested so much into him. It's not that much of a signing. It was what, $3.5 million, $3 million, if it was something like that, whatever. 3.2. Okay. In the middle then. So it's $3.2 million, right? Like in the grand scheme of things, that's not a ton of money. If you got to cut them loose, you got to come loose. I mean, they did it with the Yoshi, right? So like, why can't they do it with Rowdy? It could be done. The problem is, do you just make a move to make it? Because like, so what is the answer? Okay, so DFA Rowdy, right? And there's been the comments. DFA, we see these comments all the time. DFA. Great. Who are you replacing them with? So what's the answer then if Rowdy's DFA? Well, it's not Malcolm Nunez. He's not even playing good in AAA. So what makes you think he's going to come to the major leagues and you also are costing a 40-man rush spot to do so? Is it Jake Lamb? I don't know if that's really the answer too. So like to me, it's like you're just making a move to make a move. I don't know if it's the answer. But to Tyler's point, like Jake Lamb has had a better peak and a much longer lasting peak than Rowdy Tellez. And yes, it's been a while, but like it's not like Rowdy had a good year last year. It's not like Rowdy's was just last year either. It was just 1 year. So am I opposed to just saying, you know what, let's see if Jake Lamb can work now? I don't know, but I just feel like it's still too early. Because if it ain't Jake Lamb, then what is it?
Just to add to that real quick, I think the actual putting Rowdy on a Phantom IL stent and calling Jake Lamb up. I think that's the actual solution.
So let me go
that out.
Let me go to this part of it. And this goes back to like we just kind of said. Yasmani Grandal is coming up. Do you maybe just like say, you know what, just take a step back? Rowdy, let's kind of inject Yasmani in here a few days, kind of play and see what we have here with him, what's going on. Don't be too irrational. Don't be too quick to jump the gun on DFAing Rowdy Tellez. Just maybe don't inject him into the lineup as often. Give him some days off. maybe you see Yasmani there once every week, and that way it like tells there like maybe just 3 times that week or something. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Let's just see less of Rowdy, but hold off for now because it's odd coming from me. Not like he's talented in that sense, but like there is power in there. And you're basically left with Lamb as your only option. So let's just maybe back off a little bit and just pray something comes out. I'm probably giving him another month, but with less starts. And also too, like I would much rather have Connor Joe play one more time that week against the righty because he's doing way better against righties. Well, he's playing well against righties just in general, but clearly way better than Rowdy Tellez is.
Yeah, I think I'm just to the point where the current solution is playing Connor Joe more. Like that's like the best option. And then if say I think I'm willing to give him May, but like by the end of May, if he hasn't started doing something, then it's like, okay, break glass in case of emergency. And that's when Jake Lamb is maybe that break glass. Or maybe if we're talking about you send Davis down right now, you get him right, and Davis is right all of a sudden come the end of May. Grandal's not looking awful. You move Grandal, shift him more to a first base role, and then Davis and Bart are your catchers. So there are options, I think, in like a break glass and type of emergency situations, but that's it. They're kind of stuck here. Like they got to just rely on what they have because you could always go to Jake Lamb, but Jake Lamb doesn't give you near the upside that Rowdy Tellez offers you, right? Not even really close to it. He doesn't. Like he just doesn't. Like Jake Lamb's probably going to give you at best an 80 weighted runs created plus, which is just not good. He hasn't been good in a long time. It's been a while since Jake Lamb has been good. So
which administration, Jim? You know you love using that.
Yeah, it's been since like the Trump administration, since Jake Lamb had any success. He was even better during the Obama administration, maybe. But no, I think that's just where I'm at. Like maybe give Connor Joe 1 start against a righty per week, maybe 2. So that way you're not playing Rowdy. It's not a straight platoon. Connor Joe's getting the bulk of the playing time. And then maybe Rowdy starts heating up and you can start going back to that regular platoon because you want to make sure Connor Joe's being put in good situations for him to succeed. But yeah, like Tellez just isn't doing it right now. And Joe's your only option. It's your only option. So kind of got to roll with this for a while. And then again, in case of an emergency, come the end of May, is Rowdy still doing what he's doing? Jake Lamb's there in case for the emergency. That's kind of where I'm at. That's my leash. My leash is end of May.
And like that makes sense because then you have Jake Lamb up here. You can see what he does. And if by the end of June, it's not him, like you're entering trade season. And the Pirates still in the thick of things, like they could be looking out. Like now they know we need to make a trade. And that you're at that point then. So that all makes sense, Jim. And that's kind of where I'm at also. Unfortunately, like it just sucks. It's just a bad situation. That's all.
Yeah, I think it all just comes back to what you just said. They failed in the first base situation here. And we all knew it coming into this year. They set themselves up for failure because relying on Rowdy Tellez and Connor Joe, who I think we all like, but he's not an everyday type of player, and he's certainly not an everyday first baseman. They just failed. They ignored one of the biggest weaknesses on the team, and they're paying for it now.
But I just want to stress again, like the offensive woes isn't just on Rowdy. And
Yes,
we also recognize that. Like it's bad everywhere. And if they had the answer, that's not going to make this offense better. Everyone needs to start playing better. The point I'm even going back to is like what I said before, though, is that's the position they chose to sign Rowdy Tellez for. Other guys are developing players coming up, right? they chose to sign Rowdy Tellez to this position, and he's failing miserably there.
We got a
Jim,
roster move. Got a
what is
roster
it?
move. Ryder Ryan has been optioned to AAA.
Right.
Corresponding move coming tomorrow prior to the game. I've got to assume that corresponding move
Is it Carmen?
got to be Carmen Majinski, right?
That's what I was thinking.
It's got to be.
I hope so.
But wanted to say that. So that just happened. Ryder Ryan optioned to AAA.
We've all done that, Jim. You're good.
Ryder Ryan options AAA. So corresponding move coming before the Giants series. And yeah, I feel like Majinski just makes the most sense there.
Could be a good segue to the next part then. Another guy struggling, Aroldis Chapman. Now, unlike Rowdy Tellez was a cheap signing, this was a big investment. Like, this isn't you just DFA Aroldis Chapman. No, it's $10.5 million to a setup guy. He's not getting DFA'd. But Chapman has not looked particularly well. Now, today he gave up the home run. You can debate on actually. I mean, that pitch, that's a tough pitch to hit. Like, I'm really not blaming too much on Chapman for that. But he's certainly struggling right now. And this bullpen, this was the strength of the team. The offense had potential, but like this bullpen was like, listen, this could be a top 5 bullpen in baseball. And I don't know, guys. I get nervous every time a pitcher comes in.
I mean, we're getting the full Aroldis Chapman experience here, right? Sometimes he's striking out every single batter he faces, and he's striking out 2 batters per inning currently. And sometimes he's walking every batter he faces and throwing balls to the backstop, which is what we're seeing now too. He's walking over a batter per inning. His second blown save of the season today. He's 0-2. Yeah, so it's been a little shaky for Aroldis Chapman, and I think it just kind of goes to show you that he's not really the guy that he was back in his prime. Like that, he's not that. He still has the capability to do some crazy stuff out there on the mound. He threw a 103-mile-an-hour pitch today. But yeah, you're gonna have some good times with Chapman. You're gonna have some bad times with Chapman, and we're going through the bad times right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now it's not working. Plain and simple. Like he has to figure it out because you don't pay $10.5 million to a reliever to have a 6+ ERA. So he's got to figure it out really quickly. Use the fastball more, man. It's still good. You can blow that by guys nonstop. Get back to it. Stop getting cute. You're a power pitcher. Do it.
Take some advice from Bailey Falter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, Carmen Majinski, maybe he helps solidify this bullpen that's kind of struggling right now. So, yeah, interesting. Hopefully that we'll find out tomorrow, I guess. We'll see what the move is, but that makes sense to me. And I hope so. He's definitely got a nice live arm. So, guys, we ready to get out of here?
Let's do it. I think the Steelers are about to pick. So,
yeah, we're getting close.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get out because we're not going to announce that on this show. Thank you all for watching, as always. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Join us. We got those memberships going. See the different tiers we have. Actually, we got a new member tonight. Thank you for coming. I didn't add you to the graphic at the end of the show, so you'll about the next time.
Kieran.
What's that?
Thank you, Kieran.
There you go. So, but with that said, yeah, we'll get out of here. Go Steelers, I guess. Here we go. Bye-bye.
Peace out, Scots.
See you guys.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.